it started at the end of summer, last year summer, and what happened was I was reflecting back on my summer, and I was like, oh, I didn't really do anything productive this summer, and school's about to begin, and I should do something productive in the future. So I wrote a bucket list of all the places I wanted to go before, like in the future. So one of the top things on my bucket list was to visit the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, which has like a lot of beautiful corals, and it's like a great tourist attraction. And so I searched it up, and I came across this article that said that a lot of the world's corals population had decreased in the years because due to coral bleaching. So yeah, that's what my seminar is about. Wait, how do you? Okay, so what are corals? So corals are really colorful organisms, stationary organisms in the ocean or in sea. And the Great Barrier Reef is a tourist attraction in Australia that contains a lot of corals. And the Great Barrier Reef is actually one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. And these are some pictures of the Great Barrier Reef. It's Nemo. So, what makes corals so colorful? What happens is there is algae living in the tissue of the corals, and these algae and corals, they work together and they provide resources for each other, which is called mutualism. And one of the most important things is that the algae, it provides food for the corals through carbohydrates, which the algae provide through photosynthesis. And as well, the corals provide a home for the algae to live on. Next slide. Okay. So why is coral important? Reefs take up less than 1% of the ocean's ecosystems, but they are nevertheless really, really important. Because corals shelter 25% of marine species, like you saw in the previous slide, Nemo. And corals protect shorelines, and they support fishing industries. Corals also provide tourist dollars. For example, a lot of tourist attractions, such as the Great Barrier Reef, provide more than half of the country's GDP, gross domestic product. And corals can lead to the next medical breakthrough, because, as you know, corals are stationary organisms in the ocean.
Mr. Huang, contact the office, Mr. Huang.
And what happens is, since they're stationary, they have chemical defenses in them, which ward off predators. And what scientists are trying to do is they take these chemical defenses and they put them in medicine to cure cancer and other diseases. So corals are really, really useful. So these are some other benefits of corals. Yeah, as you can see, it's medicine, tourism, fishing, and food. Because corals provide a habitat for most of the marine species and aquatic. So why is the survival of coral threatened? It's because corals have a limited temperature range in which they can live in. So when the temperature rises, the algae, they actually leave the corals, and what happens is the coral is bleached, because you know how the algae gives coral the color? So once the algae leaves, then the coral has no more color. So what is the cause of coral bleaching? It's because the increased temperature in the water, it causes the algae to leave the corals, which causes coral bleaching. So climate change plays a huge role in increasing the temperature of the water, as well as El Nino. El Nino is this certain time of, and what happens is this warm climate moves over a certain area, and they bring warm ocean currents as well, which warms up the entire area. So, and which increases the water temperature as well. Therefore, due to the warm water temperature, the coral are bleached. And other significant factors include bright sunlight, which shines in the warm water, disease and pollution from urban and agricultural runoff, such as fertilizers from agricultural runoff, which increases the temperature of the water, as well as sedimentation from undersea activities such as dredging, and that is dredging, which causes increase in temperature as well. So what is being done by other people? Corals, and this is called resilient reef. And what happens is these resilient reefs, they actually can bounce back the effect of increased water temperatures, and they can survive in increased water temperatures as well. And what happens is the Natural Conservancy is trying to establish more of these resilient reefs in marine parks, so to increase the sustainability of reefs in the world. So what can I do to help? Well, because climate change and increased global warming or climate change temperature increases the water temperature for the corals to live in, and thus causes coral bleaching. What happens is you can try to walk or bike or carpool instead of driving, because then you can prevent greenhouse gases from being exposed in the atmosphere, increasing the temperature of the world. Or you can plant a tree and support forest conservation, which actually limits the amount of agricultural runoff and which protects the waters as well. And yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or comments, I guess, if you want to open it up?
I just want to say for ocean acidification, I think you mentioned that ocean acidification actually plays a really huge role in coral bleaching as well. So when you have a lot of carbon dioxide in the air, the ocean absorbs it and the ocean becomes acidified, and that's really bad for the coral reefs as well. And they're really important for ecosystems.
That was really good.
Oh,
Thank you
really
so much.